the Valley CW starts now.
And this evening of Iowa caucus is winding to a close. Good evening, I'm George Mallet. Stephanie Gorin's off tonight. With nearly 70% of precincts reporting it is still too close to call. Right now, Bernie Sanders trails Hillary Clinton by the slimmest of margins, 51% to 49%. On the Republican side, Ted Cruz also holds a narrow lead over billionaire businessman Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and Ben Carson rounding out the top four. We have team coverage tonight. Stuart Ledbetter is live at Sanders headquarters in Iowa tonight with the latest on how the Sanders campaign is holding up tonight. And Rachel Kars is in Middlebury with more on a caucus watch party underway at the college there. But first, let's go right to Stu in Iowa tonight. Hi, Stu. Well, obviously having trouble reaching Stuart Ledbetter at this point, but we'll make an effort to check back in with him before the evening is out. Well, after months of campaigning, this is the first presidential contest that actually counts. Voters weighing in with their choice for the next president of the United States. Currently on the Republican side, Texas Senator Ted Cruz leading billionaire businessman Donald Trump by just about 4 points. Senator Marco Rubio and Ben Carson there, the other two in the top four. Let's get to Mary Maloney, who has more tonight.
The doors opened and voters packed caucus locations across Iowa. There's more than 1,600 sites inside places like churches and schools. It may start with a prayer
that we pray that ultimately you would lift up,
but will end with a vote. Speakers from the various campaigns, including the candidates themselves, made one last effort to convince voters.
I want to talk to you about what's at stake.
I support Marco Rubio in no small measure because I believe he's the one that can bring together our party.
A lot of you are probably undecided at this point, so hopefully I can sway a couple of you over to Ted's side.
Caucus goers debated and ultimately voted for the person they want to lead the United States.
anybody but Hillary, okay?
People here have the power to shake up two parties and make or break frontrunners. It's here campaigns can gain momentum or slowly lose steam. That's what happened 8 years ago, the last time Hillary Clinton ran for president. But this year it could come down to who shows up to caucus, the establishment or first-timers. Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump could each win big if caucus newbies arrive in droves. If more seasoned voters caucus, Clinton and Ted Cruz could be declared the winners. Ultimately, it's up to the people in the heartland to potentially change the course of the 2016 campaign. Mary Maloney, WPTZ News Channel 5.
And anecdotally, we're getting pictures of a great voter turnout tonight in Iowa. There were a lot of college students lined up waiting to vote, so we'll keep you posted on those numbers. Well, obviously tonight all over people are watching Iowa. In Middlebury, some student Democrats there are holding a watch party. Make sure they don't miss any of the action. WPTZ's Rachel Kars is at Middlebury College tonight with the excitement.
Dozens of Middlebury College students gathered to watch Monday night's Iowa caucus. Whether they knew they will be voting for Bernie.
Bernie fights for working class values. He really stands up for families who may not be the wealthiest families in the country.
Or Hillary.
I view her as the most probably pragmatic candidate in the field who is best prepared to continue the work that President Obama has done.
Middlebury College students gathered at the Student Center to follow the 2016 Iowa caucus.
Something that I'm really sick of as a person who's really engaged, a young person who's really engaged, is that whole stereotype that my generation is typically very apathetic and doesn't vote, which is true. Our voter turnout rates are low, but there are a lot of people who don't fit into those statistics.
Political science professor Bert Johnson says the outcome of the race all comes down to turnout.
Bernie Sanders has a whole bunch of new voters that are he's hoping to get turned out for him. So if he can turn out a lot of those new voters that have not voted before, then he can win. Conversely, Hillary Clinton has the establishment on her side. She's got a lot of people who voted for a long time.
No matter who they are supporting, the hardcore political fans had their own competition happening on caucus night.
We do have a little betting pool going, and I did enter the betting pool. The first prize is a Make America Great Again hat. So fingers crossed, we'll see who wins that hat.
The campus Republican and Democratic groups plan to host another event for Super Tuesday. In Middlebury, Rachel Kars, WPTZ, News Channel 5.
And we've got some breaking news now. It appears the Iowa caucuses have claimed their first candidate, or casualty, if you will. Just into WPTZ, the AP reporting that former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley is ending his bid for the Democratic nomination. Technically, the term is suspending his campaign. O'Malley showed poorly in Iowa, barely getting 1% of the vote, and we are continuing to follow this breaking story, and when O'Malley speaks, we will check in with him. Time now to check back in with Stuart Ledbetter. We got disconnected from his tin can with ours, but now we've got a string of yarn between us, huh, Stu?
Well, good evening, George. You know, just since the top of the program, we've had updated numbers that have arrived here from the Iowa Democratic Party. This could not be closer, George. With 77% of the precincts now reporting, it is a 1.5 difference. Hillary Clinton maintaining her very slight lead over Senator Bernie Sanders, 50.4 to 49.0. Tonight, Bernie Sanders is upstairs here at the Holiday Inn at the Des Moines Airport, watching these returns with all of the rest of us, encouraged no doubt by reports of very heavy turnout at some precincts. Clearly, he has struck a chord with young people here in this state. He was counting on a big turnout among the young, among first-time voters who have not been involved previously to put him over the top. Right now, neck and neck between Clinton and Sanders here in Iowa. Back at the headquarters here, they are letting supporters in now for the first time. That's a good sign. It means we are at some point going to see the program begin and hear from Senator Sanders. They can hold quite a big crowd here, and it will, if all of his rallies throughout the week are any indication, be a very boisterous crowd for sure. Senator Sanders can claim, win or lose, some margin of redemption here. As he told us today, he started this campaign 40 or more points behind former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, and he has, in 6 months, essentially closed that gap. So he'll leave here tonight, regardless of what happens, feeling pretty good and having raised a ton of money. But again, how he fares in Iowa, can he claim that victory? Well, we're still watching. We still have about 23% of the precincts that have yet to report. So, George, we'll be back with you when we know a little more.
All right, and presumably we'll have some of those numbers very shortly. Stuart Ledbetter live for us tonight in Iowa. By the way, all three Democratic candidates will be in the Granite State Thursday night for a debate at the University of New Hampshire. It's their final showdown before the primary on February 9th. The Republicans will debate each other in New Hampshire before their primary next week. Saturday's debate will be held at St. Anselm College, and we have coverage planned at 10 and 11 that night. Republican candidates are getting the jump on New Hampshire. John Kasich spent all day today in the Granite State. He's made it clear that he's counting on New Hampshire big time. Kasich made stops in Rochester, Portsmouth, and Loudoun today. Now, if all goes as planned, he'll reach 100 town halls in New Hampshire by Friday. New Jersey Governor Chris Christie held multiple town halls in New Hampshire today after his morning in Iowa. Christie was in Hopkinton before heading south for another town hall and rally in Nashua. He has 15 events planned between now and the weekend. Jeb Bush held a town hall in Manchester today, and he says he's ready for the race to the finish. He, along with the GOP field, face an uphill battle in New Hampshire, with Donald Trump still maintaining a large lead in the latest polls. The Republican candidates will meet on stage in New Hampshire one last time before the primary this weekend. Remember, head to WPTZ.com for all things politics. You can go back and read out live wire treats from our team of reporters there on the ground in Iowa. Plus, you can watch Stuart Ledbetter's entire one-on-one interview with Bernie Sanders that he conducted today. We've also got a slideshow explaining how the caucuses work, as well as a delegate tracker as we move toward conventions this summer. Let's take a live look, by the way, at Iowa tonight. The results are coming into the newsroom and into headquarters there. We will have an update after the break. Tom.
George, record-breaking temperatures out there today, and it looks like we may do it again. Not tomorrow, but soon thereafter. First Alert Weather. It's on the way here.
your headquarters today?
Your headquarters today.
Not yet, no. In fact, when I interviewed him today, he showed up at his hotel. He kind of came out on his own with his wife, and we did the interview. Just the three of us, a couple of staffers. He does have some security around him. There's a crush, not just of reporters around him, but also admirers, supporters who work at him too. So he does have a bit of security, but certainly none of that.
You're watching WPTZ News Channel 5 with Stephanie Gorin, George Mallet, and Chief Meteorologist Tom Messner.
Welcome back, and here now is a look at the latest results coming in from the Iowa caucuses. And with more than 3/4 of the precincts now reporting, it is a very tight race on the Democratic side. Bernie Sanders has been building momentum throughout the evening and now trails former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton by the razor-thin margin of 1 point. O'Malley dropping out, suspending his campaign, as they say in campaign lingo. On the Republican side, Senator Ted Cruz maintaining a slim margin of 3% over billionaire businessman Donald Trump. Senator Marco Rubio has been gaining all night and is now up to 22%. Ben Carson is the only other candidate in double digits in that top 4. Stuart Ledbetter remains live at the Sanders headquarters in Iowa tonight with the latest on how Sanders' campaign is regarding this razor-thin margin tonight. Stu?
Well, no sign of them. That's how, George. They're upstairs watching along with the rest of us for something definitive, and it's hard to see anything definitive in these numbers. They have not really budged. This has been a 2-point race all night. It is now a 1 percentage point difference between Clinton and Sanders. The crowd is filling in behind me here at Sanders election night headquarters. Sanders told us earlier today that he does not believe he has to win tonight, certainly not to prove his point that you can come from a very great distance behind Secretary Clinton and essentially close the gap in 6 months and energize a lot of new voters in the process. That will be the storyline out of Iowa, whether he finishes first or he finishes slightly out of first. And of course he's got some friendly territory ahead in New Hampshire when he arrives tomorrow and has a couple of events scheduled in New Hampshire tomorrow. Then it's on to Nevada in 2 weeks after that. So I talked to Sanders' campaign manager earlier today, George, and he said, they feel terrific about Iowa. They've left nothing on the field, as he put it. They've done everything they could, everything they knew how to do. They've had a very sophisticated ground operation, social media, billboards. They've had some key endorsements. They've gotten a lot of young people energized. And so I think that regardless of how this turns out, Senator Sanders' storyline is going to be a pretty positive one in the national media for the next several days, certainly through a week from tomorrow and the New Hampshire result. But right now, the very latest, 80% in here in Iowa, and it is a 1-point ball game. George?
All right, thank you, Stu. We'll be checking in with Stu throughout the evening and again at 11 o'clock as well.
Wow.
Yeah, it's spectacular when you think about how far he was behind. And if he were to win tonight, he would become something akin to an irresistible force when you think about how much momentum he would have combining Iowa with New Hampshire. You'd probably like to talk about the weather, though, wouldn't you?
I just think this is interesting.
It is. It sure is.
I will tell you the weather there is going to get interesting. We'll talk a little bit about that. But Iowa looking fine for weather tonight for the caucuses. Time-wise, this is working out because by tomorrow it's going to be snowing, and it's going to be snowing a bunch there. There's going to be a lot of wind. Blizzard conditions expected, so this could have been a mess today.
Get on a plane, Stu.
Yeah, get on a plane, head back. That's right. How about the high temperatures locally today? You have got to be kidding me. How could this be February? 55, that was the high in Plattsburgh. Burlington's high today, 53 degrees. Same thing in Lebanon, 52 degrees in Springfield. We did break a record in the Champlain Valley, officially at Burlington with that 53. The old record from 88 was 50 degrees. Tomorrow is going to be a quiet day. It's going to be cooler than today, still unseasonably warm. And then Wednesday, we're going to ramp it up again. It's going to be windy, it's going to be rainy, and it's going to be very warm. We're thinking we're going to be flirting with records again. We're forecasting a high of 49. Record for the date, back from 1991, is 49. It'll be interesting. That's for Wednesday. Meanwhile, tomorrow, kind of a different deal. Here's what we're doing for temperatures right now. Mainly 30s on the weather map. We've got some 20s. Places like Montpelier, 26. St. Johnsbury right now is at 28 degrees. First alert storm tracker. Few clouds out there tonight. Actually, it's not that bad a night at all. We widen out. Would you take a look at the storm system out here? It is snowing a bunch over parts of Nebraska, also back into Colorado. This stuff is going to shift into Iowa. This is what I was talking about, where tomorrow it is going to be very messy. They do have blizzard warnings posted, and they also have winter storm warnings posted for areas from the Canadian border up in the Great Lakes all the way back into Colorado and even parts of New Mexico. It is just insane. This is the storm system that is going to affect us midweek Wednesday, but it's going to stay to the west of us, and when that happens, it's kind of a different deal for us out there. So let's jump to Wednesday, show you what to expect. Low pressure right here, very strong winds out in front of it. Could be looking at wind gusts 35, maybe even 40 miles an hour, and because of that, that could pose some power outages. At least the threat is going to be there. So please be aware of that. That's for Wednesday. Record high temperatures certainly possible on that day as well with those strong south winds. All right, Futurecast 12:30. We're looking ahead tonight through the overnight. It's going to be quiet. We've got a few clouds tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we end up partly to mostly sunny. However, that system getting closer tomorrow night. Watch what happens. Clouds on the increase. I know this looks like just a mess the beginning of Wednesday. Here's how this is going to pan out. Yes, we may see just a little bit of snow, and we could find a little bit of mix in there too, meaning some sleet, maybe some pockets of freezing rain, just rain. But this stuff for most of us is going to change over to rain pretty quickly as temperatures pop up. Last to do so is going to be up in northeastern Vermont, also as you get into New Hampshire, where the cold air is going to stick longest. So this is 10:30 in the morning, still in the Northeast Kingdom. Some areas, I think, with some mixed precipitation, maybe a little bit in the Green Mountains too. Otherwise, mainly a rain event. And that's going to be the case throughout the day. So this takes you until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Few rain showers, maybe a couple of snowflakes mixed in that night. Then on Thursday, it's going to be, a quieter day. It's going to be partly sunny, a little bit breezy, and it's going to be colder by then as well. All right, few clouds around tonight. 25 degrees, that's going to do it for a low. For tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny. 34 Burlington, 33 degrees Plattsburgh. Still some 40s on the weather map. Lebanon, Springfield, even Keene, where it'll be 44 degrees. But locally, 34 Champlain Valley. Tomorrow, of course, is Groundhog Day. We'll let you know if there are 6 more weeks of winter. Have we seen 6 weeks of winter? It's going to be windy. It is going to be a bit of a mixed bag. First thing in the morning on Wednesday, that's going to blow through. It turns to rain, 49 degrees, maybe breaking records that day. Then it becomes partly sunny Thursday, 37, partly sunny Friday, 32. Some afternoon snow possible Saturday, 37 degrees. In the morning, could find a little bit of snow on Sunday. Not talking a lot here, 25 to 28 degrees Monday, and the chance for snow showers.
Thanks, Tom. The Vermont City Marathon filling up fast. An update on the availability of relay team signups in a moment.
You're watching WPTZ News Channel 5.
And we're taking a live look at Sanders headquarters in Des Moines, Iowa tonight. The results are being tallied as we speak, and it can't get much closer than this. With roughly 80% of the precincts now reporting in the Democratic race, Bernie Sanders is down to just 1 point behind former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, a razor-thin margin. And the Associated Press now reporting that Martin O'Malley is suspending his campaign. Translate that, he is dropping out, folks. On the Republican side, it is also a tight race, with Texas Senator Ted Cruz holding a narrow edge over billionaire businessman Donald Trump, although he has extended that lead somewhat in the last 15 or 20 minutes. Senator Marco Rubio is steady in third place, decidedly close to Donald Trump. Ben Carson is the only other candidate to have reached double digits this evening. We will bring you results as they continue to come into our newsroom, and we'll update you throughout the evening. Well, there's still time to sign up for a relay in the Vermont City Marathon. Registration opened at 6 this morning, and immediately people were online signing up. This is the first time in 10 years that registration has been on a first-come, first-served basis. If you don't get a team, you can still sign up to run for a charity.
To get out there and train every day, sometimes it's nice to be knowing that you're doing it for someone else, for something else, for a greater cause. So I think that's really a great option for some people.
Yeah, Make-A-Wish Foundation, Camp Tecumseh, and the Special Olympics all have teams. You can find a link to more information on our website, WPTZ.com. Well, we've got a clearer picture of who the team is to beat in Division III women's hockey. Ken Drake has that and highlights from the sports desk.
Over the weekend, the Plattsburgh State women's hockey team went into Elmira having won 29 games. Their last loss came at Elmira, where they were this past weekend. And this time they took care of business, beating the number 2 team in the country by a combined score of 11-3. And yes, they are, of course, getting all 15 first-place votes in this week's national poll. We'll let you know how the men are doing and where Norwich men's hockey now is after a tough weekend for them. High school hockey tonight, Beekmantown was taking on Northeastern, and if you blinked, you may have missed the first 3 goals of the game. The Eagles scored 3 goals in less than 5 minutes into the hockey game, but from there, Northeastern would start to outscore them. We'll get you some full highlights and a final coming up tonight. And of course, it's Monday, so that means I also have the WPTZ newest nominees for the Plays of the Week. It's all tonight on the Sports Desk at 11. We'll be right back.
From WPTZ News Channel 5, this is breaking news.
And we're going to take a live picture from Des Moines, Iowa and Cruz headquarters because NBC News is now projecting that Texas Senator Ted Cruz will indeed carry the Hawkeye state tonight. With 83% of the precincts reporting, Cruz had 28% support. That is a 4-point advantage over billionaire businessman Donald Trump. We're continuing to monitor if any of the candidates will speak, and we will bring that to you as soon as it happens. Presumably, it'll be Ted Cruz speaking soon. And before we leave tonight, a reminder to stick with WPTZ for any and all updates on tonight's caucuses. After tonight's caucuses in Iowa, Senator Sanders returns to New Hampshire tomorrow. Stuart Ledbetter will be on the plane along with him, and Stu will be live in Manchester on News Channel 5 today, first thing in the morning. There, Bernie has a rally planned to encourage people to get out and vote. And that's it for us at 10 o'clock. We're back at 11 o'clock straight up over on the Big 5. Hope you'll switch over and join us there. Good night.